In agriculture, your tractor is more than just equipment. It's your partner, your workhorse, your daily driver through mud, heat, and hard seasons. But what if the machine you depend on is secretly one of the worst choices you could make? In this video, AgroTV breaks down 12 used tractors that you should absolutely avoid. These aren't just aging models. They're machines with proven records of failure. We're talking constant breakdowns, weak transmissions, expensive repairs, poor parts availability, and design flaws that leave farmers frustrated and out of pocket. Whether you're a seasoned operator or buying your first tractor, this list will help you dodge disaster. We've collected real experiences from mechanics, owners, and ag pros, and we're calling out the worst of the worst. Some may shock you, some were even bestsellers in their time. But one thing's for sure, number 3 will make you think twice before signing that deal. Let's get into it. Number 12. The Mahindra 4110 might seem like a budget-friendly compact utility tractor, but its long-term reliability issues can quickly overshadow the initial savings. A major point of concern is the hydraulic system. Many owners report jerky lift action, weak loader response, and premature seal failures, all of which compromise functionality and require frequent repairs. The transmission, a basic gear drive setup, lacks smooth shifting and can lead to early clutch wear, especially when used in loader work or on uneven terrain. Additionally, the engine, while efficient on paper, has a tendency to overheat during extended use, a flaw linked to underperforming cooling components and poor airflow. Electrical problems are also common. Ignition switches fail, connections corrode, and the charging system struggles under any accessory load. Combine that with minimal dealer support and increasingly hard-to-find parts, and the Mahindra 4110 becomes more of a maintenance project than a dependable tool. For those seeking consistent performance and low downtime, this tractor often delivers more frustration than value. Number 11. The long 610 might seem like a cost-effective option for those seeking a rugged utility tractor, but its history of poor reliability tells a very different story. One of the most frequent complaints involves the hydraulic system, which is known for inconsistent pressure, slow lift responses, and even sudden drops under load. Issues often trace back to cheap seals, outdated pumps, and hard-to-source replacement parts. The power takeoff, PTO, doesn't fare much better, with many owners reporting erratic engagement and premature clutch wear, making it unreliable for running implements like brush hogs or tillers. The engine, while advertised to produce around 50 horsepower, tends to overheat during extended use due to undersized radiators and limited airflow, a serious concern for those in warmer climates or tackling heavy-duty fieldwork. Transmission problems are also widespread. The gear shift is notoriously stiff and grinding, which accelerates synchro wear and leads to full transmission overhauls that are costly and time-consuming. The clutch system compounds the issue, frequently slipping or failing under moderate stress because of low-quality friction materials and a poorly engineered linkage. On top of that, the ride quality is harsh due to a stiff frame and minimal suspension, which increases vibration and loosens bolts, wiring, and fittings over time. Electrical issues are the final nail in the coffin. Dash lights flicker, starters fail unexpectedly, and ignition systems are vulnerable to moisture. Taken together, the long 610's constant need for repair and hard-to-find parts make it a tractor better avoided than endured. Number 10. The Farmall F20 may evoke a sense of vintage charm for collectors, but if you're considering it for actual work, its poor reliability and outdated engineering make it a risky and often impractical choice. Produced from the mid-1930s to early 1940s, the F20 was built for an era with vastly different agricultural demands, and its limitations show clearly in modern use. The 4-cylinder gasoline or distillate engine is prone to hard starting, especially in cold or humid conditions, and suffers from vapor lock, worn magnetos, and sluggish throttle response due to its antiquated fuel and ignition systems. Most models require hand cranking, which becomes a serious problem when internal components like the impulse coupling fail or the carburetor floods. The cooling system lacks the capacity and pressure regulation of modern tractors, making the engine vulnerable to overheating during prolonged tasks. The transmission is a non-synchronized gear type with very limited speed range, and frequent gear grinding is common unless you master double clutching techniques. Power is delivered through a mechanical clutch prone to glazing or slipping under load, especially on units that haven't been carefully maintained. Steering is manual with no assist, making fieldwork physically exhausting, and the rigid axle design often causes premature wear in tie rods and pivot bushings. Rear brakes are mechanical and weak by today's standards, offering poor stopping power on inclines or when pulling loads. Stability is another issue. The tall, narrow design creates a higher center of gravity that makes the tractor unstable on uneven terrain. And perhaps worst of all, sourcing parts has become increasingly difficult and expensive, turning even simple repairs into lengthy and costly restoration efforts. Unless you're a skilled mechanic with time and access to vintage parts, the F20 is more likely to stall your progress than support it. Number 9. The Caterpillar D2 might capture attention with its rugged, old-school crawler design and nostalgic association with early earthmoving. But beneath that vintage steel lies a host of reliability issues that make it a poor choice for modern work demands. Produced from the late 1930s through the 1950s, the D2 was a small diesel crawler intended for light-duty tasks. But its dual-start engine system, requiring a small gasoline pony motor to start the diesel engine, has proven to be one of its biggest headaches. These starting engines often suffer from poor ignition, fuel delivery issues, and mechanical wear, making them unreliable and labor-intensive to get running, especially in cold or damp conditions. The main diesel engine, though durable when perfectly maintained, becomes temperamental over time, with hard starting, uneven compression, and frequent fuel injector problems, if not meticulously cared for. The undercarriage system, including the tracks, rollers, and idlers, wears rapidly under continuous use and is notoriously difficult and expensive to rebuild due to part scarcity and the need for specialized tools. Steering clutches and brake bands, essential for directional control, tend to bind or slip if they're not adjusted with exacting precision. And many older units exhibit poor turning response or outright fail to steer under load. The open operator platform and lack of suspension create harsh working conditions, amplifying wear on both machine and operator. Even worse, replacement parts are becoming harder to find, with many components now only available through salvage or custom machining, which adds serious cost and delay to any repair. Unless you're a dedicated restorer with deep knowledge of vintage equipment, a fully outfitted workshop, and unlimited patience, the Caterpillar D2 is more likely to sit idle than serve as a dependable machine. Its charm is best left to museums, not job sites. Number 8. The Kubota B71000 may look like a handy, compact tractor ideal for small farms or residential tasks, but when it comes to long-term reliability, there are several red flags that make it a risky investment. Though well-regarded initially for its 3-cylinder diesel engine and durable chassis, years of use have exposed critical flaws, particularly in older models that lack power steering, making maneuvering under load painfully difficult and causing accelerated wear in the steering box and front axle components. The manual transmission, often praised for simplicity, is unsynchronized, which results in frequent gear grinding unless shifted with perfect timing. This can quickly lead to worn synchros or chipped gears in older, heavily used units. Electrical issues also plague the B71000, especially in models with aging wiring harnesses that become brittle, corroded, or suffer from poor grounding, leading to no-start conditions, flickering lights, or charging failures. The hydraulic system, while adequate on paper, is frequently underpowered for modern attachments and slow to respond in cold weather, and over time, seals in the control valves and cylinders tend to leak, reducing both performance and reliability. Adding to the headache, replacement parts for vintage B710s are becoming scarcer and more expensive, particularly when it comes to key drivetrain or electrical components, often forcing owners to rely on used or aftermarket solutions with mixed results. The ride quality is rough due to minimal suspension and seat padding, which contributes to driver fatigue and potential loosening of key fittings over time. If you need a dependable, low-maintenance tractor, the B71000, while charming, is far more likely to drain your time and resources through constant tinkering and sourcing hard-to-find parts than deliver the worry-free performance today's users expect. Number 7. The Stiger Puma. 1000 may boast serious pulling power and rugged looks, but beneath its aggressive stance lies a host of chronic reliability issues that can make it more of a burden than a blessing. One of the most commonly reported problems lies within its hydraulic system, which is prone to leaks, sluggish implement response, and weak pressure buildup, often the result of poor quality seals, deteriorating lines, or under-spec pump components that can fail under moderate use. Transmission reliability is another significant concern. The power shift gearbox has a history of jumping out of gear or shifting harshly, especially under heavy load, which not only interrupts workflow, but also leads to internal wear that demands expensive, labor-intensive overhauls. The steering system is equally problematic, particularly in steerable axle configurations, where electrical issues in the control switches or sensors can cause erratic steering input or complete failure of steering assist, making it not just unreliable, but potentially dangerous in tight or sloped areas. Electrical gremlins also plague this model, from alternator issues and voltage spikes that burn out dash components, to faulty connectors and grounding problems that lead to hard starts or dead electronics mid-task. In colder conditions, the starting system often falters without supplemental heat or battery support, leaving operators stranded. On top of these problems, sourcing parts can be frustrating and expensive, especially for less common variants. When breakdowns occur, and they often do, you're likely to face long delays, specialized diagnostics, and high repair bills. Unless you have deep pockets, access to rare components, and time to tinker, the Stiger Puma 1000 is more likely to sit sidelined in a shed than put its horsepower to productive use. For a machine that's supposed to lead the charge in heavy field work, its chronic mechanical and electrical setbacks make it one to avoid. Number 6. The versatile 1150. Big Roy and the Stiger Puma 1000 may look like titans of agricultural muscle, but when it comes to reliability, both suffer from fundamental issues that make them more showpieces than serious workhorses. Big Roy, while iconic for its massive frame and cab-over design, was essentially a prototype with only one unit ever built, meaning parts are non-existent, systems are unrefined, and any mechanical failure requires custom fabrication and deep mechanical expertise. Its massive size also creates maneuverability problems and increased strain on components like the driveline, which was never truly tested under full commercial duty. Meanwhile, the Stiger Puma 1000, though mass-produced, suffers from its own reliability nightmares. Its hydraulic system is notoriously prone to pressure loss and leaky seals, and its power shift transmission frequently jumps out of gear or shifts erratically under load, requiring costly rebuilds. The steering system, especially on models with steerable front axles, is plagued by electrical faults and corroded control switches that cause sudden assist failures, while dash electronics and alternator systems frequently malfunction, often due to poor wiring insulation and moisture exposure. Between Big Roy's impracticality and the Puma 1000's chronic mechanical weaknesses, these machines are better suited for museums or collectors than daily field use. Unless you're after nostalgia or rarity, not reliability, you're better off steering clear of both. Number 5. The Chalmers 7050 might draw interest with its bold styling, solid horsepower, and advanced features for its time, but its reputation for reliability issues makes it a risky bet for anyone needing consistent performance. A major concern centers on the power director transmission, which uses a power shift mechanism that's known to fail prematurely under stress, particularly if operated without meticulous maintenance or if fluid levels aren't checked constantly. These transmission problems can lead to slipping, harsh shifting, or total failure, and rebuilding one is neither simple nor cheap. The engine, a turbocharged 6-cylinder diesel, can suffer from overheating, oil leaks, and premature head gasket failures. Issues often traced to marginal cooling capacity and inconsistent oil pressure under load. Electrical components are also a consistent weak spot. Gauges tend to malfunction, wiring insulation breaks down over time, and the alternator system struggles to maintain consistent charge, especially when running lights and accessories. Hydraulics, while initially strong, often develop leaks or weak lift performance due to worn seals and aging control valves. Parts availability can be a challenge, especially for specific internal transmission or electrical components, and that means extended downtime during critical work windows. With all these weaknesses combined, the Chalmers 7050 demands more upkeep, troubleshooting, and expense than most owners bargain for. If you need a dependable field partner rather than a weekend project, it's smart to steer clear of this troubled model. Number 4. The John Deere 720 diesel may carry the prestige of classic green and yellow heritage and boast raw pulling power for its era. But in practice, it brings a suite of reliability problems that make it less appealing for those wanting a dependable machine. At the heart of the issue is its complex two-cylinder diesel engine that requires a small gasoline pony motor to start, a system that sounds clever on paper but often proves temperamental and inefficient in real-world conditions. The pony motor is notoriously hard to maintain. Spark issues, poor compression, stuck valves, and fuel leaks are common, and starting the diesel engine depends on this smaller unit functioning perfectly. Any hiccup renders the entire tractor inoperable. The diesel engine itself, while powerful for its time, suffers from vibration-heavy operation that places significant stress on mounting brackets, bearings, and drivetrain components over time. Even with careful maintenance, these tractors are known to develop oil leaks around the crankcase and head, often requiring full disassembly to address. The transmission is another sore spot. Shifting is heavy and lacks synchros, which makes gear changes clunky and prone to wear, especially if used under load. Clutch performance often deteriorates with use, leading to slippage or hard engagement. The brakes, which use mechanical drum systems, lose effectiveness quickly and demand constant adjustment to remain functional. Electrical reliability is poor by today's standards, with wiring insulation that breaks down and charging systems that often fail under accessory load. Parts availability is limited and expensive, especially for components tied to the starting system or electrical system. While the 720 diesel may be a collector's dream, it is not a practical, reliable tractor for regular use. Unless you enjoy constant tinkering, chasing hard-to-find parts, and fighting with cold starts, you'll likely find the 720 more frustrating than functional. Number 3. The Deutz D15 may win points for its distinctive German engineering and compact size, but its long-term reliability concerns make it a questionable choice for practical use today. At the core of its issues is the air-cooled single-cylinder diesel engine, which, while innovative for its time, tends to overheat under moderate to heavy loads due to poor airflow and lack of thermal regulation in hot climates or dusty environments. Unlike liquid-cooled engines that manage heat more effectively, the D15's cooling fins and forced air system are highly sensitive to debris buildup, leading to overheating, warped components, and premature engine wear. Starting the tractor, especially in colder weather, can be a test of patience. Compression starting is often sluggish, and older glow plug systems frequently fail or drain the battery rapidly. The limited horsepower output, around 15, also means it struggles with even modest implements, placing extra strain on both the drivetrain and PTO system, which itself is known to be inconsistent and weak under load. The manual transmission, while mechanically simple, lacks smoothness and often grinds during gear shifts due to poor clutch response and worn synchronizers in older units. Additionally, the braking system is mechanical and underpowered, offering marginal stopping ability on hills or while towing. Another major concern is the scarcity of replacement parts, especially outside of Europe. Basic repairs can become drawn-out projects as owners hunt for rare components or settle for costly fabrications. Wiring harnesses and electrical switches are basic and prone to corrosion, causing sudden lighting or ignition failures. Overall, while the Deutz D15 has vintage charm, it demands constant attention, mechanical skill, and parts that aren't easy to find. For anyone needing a reliable and capable small tractor, The D15 is more of a nostalgic artifact than a functional tool, and it's best left in a collection, not the field. Number 2. The International Harvester 560 may look like a solid mid-century workhorse on the surface, but its legacy is clouded by one of the most infamous reliability failures in agricultural history. When introduced in the late 1950s, the 560 featured an updated look and a more powerful engine. But IH made a critical error. They reused the rear end and transmission from the older Model M and Super M tractors, which were simply not built to handle the 560's increased horsepower and torque. The result was catastrophic. Under field stress, final drives and rear axles failed at an alarming rate, often cracking housings or stripping gears, leading to costly and repeated repairs. This flaw earned the 560 a reputation for mechanical fragility that still lingers today. Even though IH later reinforced the components, early models were already widely distributed, and their reliability was tarnished permanently. On top of drivetrain weaknesses, the hydraulic system was slow and prone to leaks, with poorly sealed valves and lines that allowed fluid to weep or blow out under pressure. The clutch and torque amplifier system also presented reliability headaches. Slipping, harsh engagement, and early failure were common, especially when operators tried to work the tractor hard. The engine, while powerful, suffered from cooling issues and occasional head gasket failures if worked in hot conditions without careful monitoring. Brake systems were purely mechanical and lost effectiveness over time, especially if not regularly adjusted. Today, the parts market for the 560 is better than for some other classics, but repairs can still be expensive, particularly for rear-end components. Unless you're restoring one for a show or hobby use, the International 560 is better remembered for its lesson in engineering overreach than as a dependable piece of farm equipment. For serious work, its history of mechanical weakness and high maintenance demands make it a risky choice. Number 1. The Chalmers D21 stands out with its aggressive styling, impressive horsepower for its era, and early turbocharged power, but its bold design also came with a number of reliability shortcomings that can turn ownership into a maintenance headache. At the heart of its trouble is the turbocharged 6-cylinder diesel engine, which, while groundbreaking at the time, was pushed to its design limits, resulting in chronic head gasket failures, excessive oil consumption, and overheating under sustained heavy use, especially in early non-intercooled models. Operators often found that without frequent coolant checks and meticulous maintenance, the engine could suffer from cracked heads or warped components. The transmission, a non-synchronized unit, was known for rough gear engagement and premature wear in the gears and bearings, if not shifted perfectly or maintained with precise lubrication schedules. The rear end and final drives, though built beefy, also developed issues when the engine's boosted torque exceeded what the drivetrain components were originally engineered to handle, especially in high drawbar applications. The D21's hydraulics were basic and prone to sluggish response, with common complaints of slow lift cycles and leaky valves. Braking was another weak point. The dry disc setup required constant adjustment to maintain stopping power, and wear accelerated quickly under load. The tractor's large frame and stiff suspension made ride quality harsh, which added vibration stress to components like steering linkages and electrical connections, increasing failure rates over time. While parts availability is decent thanks to its cult following, repairs, particularly engine and rear-end overhauls, can be labor-intensive and costly. Unless you're a dedicated collector or experienced mechanic with time to spare, the Chalmers D21 is more of a nostalgic powerhouse than a dependable modern workhorse. For those needing consistent, low-drama performance, this tractor's reputation for overworked internals and reliability pitfalls makes it a machine to admire from a distance.